Variety is the spice of gluttony. That's Dr. Herbert Shelton, and I'm John Rose. Big fan of Herbert Shelton. This man supervised over 50,000 water fasts, knew firsthand the power of a solid food vacation on water. Someone else who understood the power of a solid food vacation was Tolstoy, and he also understood that gluttony was our biggest problem. He talks about a good life and a bad life and how we're addicted to a bad life, and it all begins with gluttony. He wrote an amazing 25-page essay called The First Step to one of the greatest books ever written, called Ethics of Diet by Howard Williams. Did a video called The First Step to Paradise, where I took this 25-page essay, 14,000 words, condensed it down into about 600 words or so, and I played part of my tape recorder of that where I condensed it down. I like taking a bunch of words and condense it down, so I have 10 words, and then just a handful of words to help me understand it better. In essence, what Tolstoy said is that we have no control, and that our existence is all like a two-story house, where the bottom floor is the bad life and the good life is up on top. And we've got these steps that we have to take. That there's an order of for these virtues to be in. There's a sequence that it has to go through. There's an order of that we have to follow, and that many times we focus on these higher steps, not realizing the significance of that first step, because the first step addresses the issue of gluttony. It addresses the issue of self-control, or as Christians would say, self-renunciation. That's what Tolstoy said our problem was, is that we're all focused on food, that after a certain age, around adolescence or so, that's pretty much all we think about, isn't it? Food, 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 food. When are we going to eat? What are we going to eat? How much are we going to eat? It's what's on our mind. All of our events, that's all we think about. When we go to weddings, when we go to funerals, it's food, 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 food. Gluttony, again, is what Tolstoy said, how it all starts. And then Shelton helped us understand that variety is the spice of gluttony. And this is why mono meals work so well. That's why the simpler the meal, the better you'll feel. That's why when we incorporate intermittent fasting, when we don't eat breakfast, when we only eat 2 meals a day or 1 meal a day, depending on our activity levels, we feel better. The problem, of course, most of us have is that we're addicted to the evil life we live. That's what Tolstoy said. And that there's only one way to break this addiction. And that's why he called his essay The First Step. Again, he took this great book, The Ethics of Diet. He translated it to Russian, and it was made up of 85 of some of the greatest thinkers ever, showing the obvious connection between diet and behavior. Obvious connection. And he translated that book, and of course, another thing Tolstoy had done is he had visited slaughterhouses. Once you visit a slaughterhouse and you see the suffering going on, it wakes you up quite a bit, doesn't it? That's why Tolstoy said, vegetarianism serves as a criterion by which we know the pursuit of moral perfection on the part of humanity is genuine and sincere. Eating an animal, killing an animal just darkens the dark side of our behavior that was created when we made the first of the 5 mistakes, cooking of the food. It's amazing how people can't understand the significance of that mistake. And I'm amazed at how many people understand that, and yet they still don't think that it's possible for us to return back to paradise. It really saddens me that people lack the vision, but they lack the vision because they lack the contemplation. They lack the contemplation because they lack the knowledge. So that's why a lot of people are so skeptical. They don't have enough pieces to the puzzle. And you can't connect what you don't have, right? You can't contemplate on what you don't have. And this is all I've been doing for 29 years. Collecting knowledge, putting them in one of 6 boxes or one of 18 portals. That's my special teaching tool, the ultimate schematic. I've been gathering knowledge for a long time, and I want to put it in certain places. Every time I find something, I put it in one of those boxes, one of those portals. I take a step back, I look at the big picture. Can I connect any more dots? Can I see something I hadn't seen before? Can I make this simpler so you guys can understand how powerful a solid food vacation is? Take the first step to get to that second floor. We got to gain back control. We're gluttons. And people think, oh, I couldn't just eat raw food, not enough variety. Variety is the spice of gluttony. And if we never ever ate cooked food, do you have any idea how much variety of food we would have? When you look at just how many varieties there are of apples or bananas or grapes, there are hundreds of varieties. Just imagine, I dream of the day, if this ever comes, or what it might have been like, when the variety of fruit would have just been amazing. People have no idea what a durian tastes like, most people. Think of the other fruits that would be just, chocolate zapates. There's a lot of things a lot of us have never ever had. And it's just amazing. One of the interesting things I do as part of my job is I have to watch a little bit of TV because I want to keep my finger on the pulse of humanity and how they think. Because I've been doing this for so long, it's hard for me to think how the average person thinks, although I got 32 years of doing it prior to me waking up, and where I stopped eating animals and then took the next step where I stopped cooking my food. But one of the things I like to watch are shows about food. I watch all the Gordon Ramsay shows, and it's interesting how people think it's an art, and they're oblivious to the fact that it's a sin, and that this is what's killing us, that we have this art of cooking where we can make all these dishes and have all this variety. So I find it fascinating for me to watch a lot of these dishes being made, gourmet meals of foods I've never eaten in my life. And what really is interesting to me is I have no desire to. It doesn't even interest me at all. I go, I wonder how yummy that tastes. But yet I can see all the judges tasting different foods and going, oh, this is so good. Just thinking, God, what an illusion this life is, where we've tricked ourselves. It's magic. Remember what Plato said. Whatever deceives men seems to produce a magical enchantment. That's what cooking has done to our species. It's put us under the hunger spell, where we feel hunger down here, and we have withdrawal symptoms if we don't get our drug of choice. Watering of the throat is what hunger should be. We're under the hunger spell. I'll put links down below in my video if you haven't seen those videos yet. And it's like I said, we're under a spell. Now can't wait to put all these different foods or items in here with a bunch of spices and different combinations and do all sorts of things to it so we can have another new flavor. Yeah, variety is a spice of gluttony. Folks, once we wake up to the fact that we don't need near as much variety as we think, look into nutrient recycling. People can eat nothing but potatoes and still get almost everything they need because the body knows how to make what else it needs. That's why so many bad diets seem to do okay if we can just tweak it somewhat. Right now, our diets are so horrible. We have such a wide variety of items in our diet. Most of us do, here in America especially. When you look at the average person, you go, oh my God, what kind of cesspool do they have inside of them? What kind of variety of all sorts of things do they have inside of them? That it's real easy to go from where they're at and find something that's better. If you just slightly reduce some of the bad things you're doing, you're going to see better. Remember, I say over and over in my videos, we make 5 main mistakes based on 5 things we mastered. If we eliminate any one of them, we're going to see great results. The 4th thing is that industrial revolution. That's where we start processing our foods. If we just simply stop processing our foods, everybody's life would be a ton better. If everyone adopted the paleo diet, we would be doing better, because then you're correcting 3 mistakes. But damn, we're still killing the animals. That's not any good. And the vegan diet, now we're eating plants. We're not biologically adapted eating. We're still cooking our food. So if you're the best vegan you can be, you're still making 2 mistakes. If you're the best paleo you can be, you're still making 2 mistakes. That's not good enough. It's not going to get us out of this hole. And I know a lot of people lack the vision because they lack enough pieces to be able to connect everything, but I've done that before. I know the impact the fall of mankind has. I see how it affects money in our educational systems and our government, which are all these problems. Remember, when we eat the wrong food, when we stop eating biophotons, we create 10 subsequent needs because we're not eating our biophotons anymore. 6 of those are problems of knowledge. A lot of people focus on those, the government, the media, the educational systems. Well, those are subsequent needs. Correct the fall of mankind, then those will go away. And a lot of people will think, and I hear this excuse all the time, well, we can't make the world raw right now. We can't feed enough people. No, not enough people will want to do it. Well, again, supply and demand. Of course we can't feed the world right now on a raw vegan diet because the demand isn't there. And food's not a panacea. We still have too many people living in the wrong place. Plenty of land. plenty of land, and life's an illusion to think there's not enough land. In fact, you can put every person on this planet in the state I live in Texas, plenty of land. It's an illusion. This illusion of scarcity is exactly what it is. It's an illusion. But the point here is that food in itself is not a panacea. Because you could be living somewhere where you're not being able to get the sunshine that I'm getting right now. And then you'll also hear people say, well, it's just never going to happen. We can't get enough, people aren't going to do it. Well, I agree if you're going to talk about saying, can we get enough people to eat raw food? Remember, there's 5 mistakes, and I say there are 3 main ways to correct those 5 main mistakes. 2 of which not enough people are willing to do to get everyone's attention. So the people who are pushing the raw food and go around saying, we'll never get everybody to eat raw food diet, well, that's because you lack the vision, because you lack the contemplation, because you lack enough pieces of the puzzle to realize there's a 3rd way to correct those 5 mistakes, and you also lack the knowledge, probably, of what Bill Bright already did. When people say, John, you're unrealistic, a poppycocker. I'm not unrealistic, because what I'm proposing has already been done. Bill Bright won $1 million award back in 1976, the Templeton Award. He had a brilliant idea. I want to get 1 million Christians to take a solid food vacation on juices like Jesus fasted on did a solid food vacation on water. Bill, what a great idea. Here's $1 million. Go make it happen. And we'll give it to you in 2000. That's your goal. In 96, by the year 2000, I want to get 1 million. In 1997, 14 million people were taking a solid food vacation on juices. Read Bill Bright's book, The Transforming Power of Fasting and Prayer. Doesn't go into much detail about what to do, and what they do, they said it wrong. They said, drink half a gallon of juice. No, that's never enough. But even though a lot of people didn't drink enough juice, the testimonials from people taking a solid food vacation are amazing. It doesn't just get rid of health problems, it takes your life to another level on everything, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. If you have financial problems, if you have relationship problems, if you have whatever type of problem, health problem, take a solid food vacation and watch how that transforms your life. I know I've coached thousands of people. I know I've done it myself personally over 1,300 days in the last 27 years. I know the transformation that people go through when they do this. And I know it's why Tolstoy had it as his first step. It's the first of my 3-step process to get us out of hell and back into paradise. Remember, only one thing we have to do, satisfy 2 groups of needs, and most of us aren't willing and able to do that, which is why I added those 2 preliminary steps. The first step addresses the willingness issue. It's a solid food vacation on juices. And we correct those 5 main mistakes on a temporary basis so we can see what we're missing and finally realize those are mistakes, although you might not believe it. Go back to them and then you'll finally learn. Second step, we got to correct those 5 mistakes on a permanent basis. Keeping in mind that when we correct these 5 mistakes, that's only one of 12 essential needs, and that is only one of 2 groups of needs. The other group, we have 2 additional temporary needs. I already mentioned those 10 subsequent needs because we're sick and disconnected, because we're not eating biophotons anymore, 6 of which are problems of knowledge. But then we have subsequent causes that may not go away just because we removed the primary cause, and that was Herbert Shelton's downfall. He didn't understand the ripple effect. There are 3 ways to screw up the law of cause and effect. 3 stages of knowledge: thoughts, actions, reactions, beliefs, causes, effects. First way we screw up the law of cause and effect is we don't have the knowledge of how to live in the first stage of knowledge. Second way we screw up the law of cause and effect is when you put magicians in between what we do and what we got to give us poisons to interfere with the body's communication systems. So it's magic, voila, the symptoms won't manifest. That's what allopathic medicine does. Second way we screw up the law of cause and effect, and of course, people like Herbert Shelton, natural hygienists, they go, you idiots out there, you don't have the knowledge of how to live. And some of y'all know that what doctors are doing, but most of you don't. So they get a little arrogant, thinking they have it all. Just remove the primary cause, quit banging your head, that's all you got to do. But no, if you've been banging your head up against the wall for a long time, you may have some damage. This was Herbert Shelton's shortcomings. He didn't understand the 3rd way we can screw up the law of cause and effect, and that's the ripple effect. That's where the effects become causes, as in the causal loop. That's what those subsequent causes are. But there's a knowledge loop also, because experience becomes the best teacher. A knowledge loop. That's the ripple effect. For those who want to know more about the 3 ways we screw up the law of cause and effect, I have a video on that. I'll put a link down below. Although I explained it well enough right now, that's probably all you need to do. But that's why Herbert Shelton died. That's why T.C. Fry died. Natural hygienist that understood the knowledge of how to live, but they didn't have knowledge of how to adapt. They knew that doctors were magicians and palliating the symptoms, but they didn't realize that sometimes if the damage is severe, it may be permanent. But in most cases, it's only temporary. So there's temporary impairment, permanent damage. And that's why I tell people all the time that when it comes to doing these things, you don't want to waste any time. Because there is a point of irreversibility. We want to avoid that. We don't want to waste any time in testing an idea as time has come, so we can take our life to another level, take the first step on this journey, the hero's journey, to get up to the second stage for the good life, where we don't eat to live, or live to eat. Said that backwards. We're supposed to eat to live, not live to eat, but that's what most of us do. And remember what Socrates said, good men eat to live, but bad men live to eat. Read the ethics of diet if you still think eating meat is a good thing to do. Read what some of the smartest people ever said about the obvious connection between killing something we're not biologically adapted to eat and then eating it and filling our pipes with dead animal flesh and becoming a graveyard for murdered beasts, as Shaw would say. I'm going to find a link, I know I have one, for the ethics of diet and Tolstoy's First Step. You got to read this essay by Tolstoy. He really knocked it out the park. He understood that it all centers around the fact that we're addicted to a bad way of life. And there's only one way to break that addiction. You got to stop feeding it. The first step is a solid food vacation. In Tolstoy's days, it was on water. Nowadays, it's on juices. And ow! Aren't you glad you are? Because when you do it on juices, you're in for a treat. Ow!